Now, what we are talking about is something that a lot of people have been writing in about, Judaism. What about pre-BC Judaism? You're going to find out more about that. What about Christianity? When did it start? Look, we've got a fellow that's on YouTube, and he's got a report there called "When Israel is Mighty," and he's speaking in Hebrew, but it's got a dub text on it, so you can go in and get the whole thing. I've also put a dub text over whilst he is speaking in Hebrew for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Judaism that's taught in the schools is not sourced from the Bible. It's sourced from the Talmud. Those who wrote the Talmud, we're talking 500 BC and we're going through to 200 AD. Those who taught or who wrote the Talmud, they also decided on and made the canon of your Christian Bibles and the canon of the Judaism Bible. 3, there's no record of any Hebrew or Aramaic version of the Tanakh available. It all started approximately 200 to 300 years AD. 5, the Judaism before BC didn't exist. They weren't worshipping Yahweh God. They will say they were, but they weren't. They were exiled to Babylon 586 BC, and they were exiled because they were into child sacrifice. They were exiled because they had disregarded Yahweh and his laws and took no notice, took no correction. So there was no such a thing as the Judaism religion BC. So we're going to talk more about that, and let's hear what this gentleman's got from Israel.
באופן כללי, היהדות הרבנית כפי שהיא מופיעה בתלמוד, שהוא בניגוד למה שנהוג ללמד בבתי ספר חילוניים, המקור של היהדות הוא לא התנ"ך. המקור של היהדות הוא התלמוד. האנשים שכתבו את התלמוד הם אלה שהחליטו מה ייכנס לתנ"ך. מה שהם החליטו שלא, לא נכנס. זאת אומרת, אז למשל, אם הכנסייה הקתולית הכניסה גם את ספרי המכבים לספרים הקדושים שלה, אז ביהדות הם לא נשמרו, והם נשמרו למעשה רק בגרסה היוונית שלהם, שאלה טובה אם הייתה אי פעם גרסה עברית או גרסה ארמית, אבל רק הכנסייה הזו ששמרה עליהם. ספר יהודית, ספר טוביה, שורה של ספרים אחרים, במיוחד כאלה שמתעסקים עם יהדות הגולה, לא נכנסו לתנ"ך ונשמרו רק על ידי הכנסייה. היהדות שלפני היהדות הרבנית.
So let's talk about point 1, the Judaism, the religion today. Where did it come from? Well, as you've just heard the gentleman say, Judaism that's taught in the schools is not sourced from the Tanakh, not sourced from the Bible, because you see, Orthodox Judaism holds the Talmud at a higher level than the Bible. And that is one of the reasons where Yahweh rejected them 586 BC. What they concocted back 500, 400, 300, 200 BC was the oral law, the Mishnah, and the Talmud. Yahweh said about it, Yahweh said, they speak in my name, but I didn't send them. Take no notice of them. So all of the warnings that were given to Isaiah, to Jeremiah, they took absolutely no notice, and I doubt if they even looked at the warnings, because there was no religion that worshipped Yahweh. Oh yeah, they said they were worshipping Yahweh, but they were not. They were into child sacrifice. They were into idolatry, worshipping the idols. They were worshipping everything that came out of Babylon and came out of Egypt. So that's the notes that you can make on point 1. And you will get more of that information if you look at my report, which is called If Israel is Not Israel, Who Is? Now the other point, which is very important, point number 2. The people who wrote the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Gemara, the oral law, these people, as I've just said, go back to 586 BC when they were exiled, because Yahweh said, they teach you visions of their own heart. They speak in my name, but it was not me that sent them. Have nothing to do with them. So they wrote the Talmud. But they are also, when it comes through to the Sanhedrin, now we're into 150 BC to, say, 250 AD, that Sanhedrin were made up of the very Jews that Yahweh, the Creator God, had rejected. The Sanhedrin was made up of a group of rabbis that were not faithful, loyal to, or keeping Yahweh's laws. And as a matter of fact, if you look at, I think, on one of my reports called Prophecy Misunderstood, yeah, the Roman Empire came in there and they took every one of the minion of 10 rabbis under the head one, Rabbi Akiva. They took them out, skinned them alive and burned them at the stake, executed them. That's what they thought they were under, the protection of Yahweh. No, they weren't. And I think you will find, if you look at one of my other reports, 580,000 of the Jews that came back from Babylon to build the second temple were slaughtered. But they still thought that they were the chosen people, and they are not the chosen people then or now. And if you look at my report, there's a second group that Yahweh chooses to be Israel in the last days. Look at those reports. It's interesting to note that the gentleman said that there was no version of the Tanakh, either in Hebrew or Aramaic. That's right. What did they need a Tanakh for? What did they need anything that was written in Hebrew or written in Aramaic for? They were 100 miles an hour into idolatry, worshipping the idols and Baal, child sacrifice. It's an interesting note there that he tells you that on item 4, it was the Christian, we're going into 200 AD now, it was the Christians that preserved not only the Tanakh or the Jewish Bible, the Jewish canon, but they also preserved and nominated what books they wanted in the Christian Bible, the canon. You don't have to be real smart to work out why, because most of it has been corrupted. I've already given you details on how the blood sin sacrifice that was being incorporated into their writings was not any command by Yahweh God. And I gave you all of the details there that Yahweh says, I never commanded for any blood sacrifice. And if there was no need for a blood sin sacrifice under the command of Yahweh God, then why do you have a blood sacrifice of Christ on the cross, allegedly to save your sins? And again, in the report that I gave to you, and I think it's Isaiah 43:25, Yahweh says, I and only I can forgive sins, and he does. That's the way he forgives sins. Now this is all on that film, When Israel is Mighty. You can go into YouTube and get all the details. Now let's have some more clips of what this gentleman said.
לדעת מה היה שם. אנחנו יודעים שהיה שם, אנחנו יודעים שהיו צדוקים, שהיו פרושים, הפרושים היהדות הרבנית, שהיו כנראה איסיים, אנחנו לא יודעים עליהם שום דבר ברור. והסיבה שאנחנו לא יודעים עליהם שום דבר ברור, כי כשהאויבים שלהם ניצחו, והפרושים קבעו יותר מ10 חגים לניצחונות שלהם על הצדוקים, הם מחקו אותם. אז אתה צריך לשבור פרגמנט מתוך פרגמנט בשביל להגיד אולי ככה ואולי ככה, ואי אפשר לדעת מה היה. מה שאנחנו כן יודעים, מזמן מאוד מוקדם, היהדות הרבנית היא יהדות שהיא שונאת אדם. היא מגדירה רק את היהודים, רק את המאמינים היהודים. אוקיי, בואו נעשה את זה כמו שצריך. רק את הגברים המאמינים היהודים כבני אדם מלאים, וכל השאר הם אחרים בדרגות שונות של צורך לדחוק אותם או במקרים קיצוניים להשמיד אותם. ההלכה לא אוסרת, אוקיי, זה לא מדויק, ההלכה אוסרת על הריגת לא יהודים, אבל היא לא מענישה על זה. זאת אומרת, אתה יכול, אם אתה הורג יהודי, אפילו אישה יהודיה, אפילו עבד של יהודי, ופה חשוב לציין שהיהדות האורתודוקסית מעולם לא ביטלה את העבדות, אז אתה צריך, יש עונש שאתה צריך לשאת בו, זה יכול להגיע עד הוצאה להורג, זה יכול להיות קנס, מאסר הם לא הכירו. אבל אם אתה הורג לא יהודי, אז אתה אשם, אבל אין עונש, אלוהים יעניש אותך. שזה, איך לומר, בעייתי. כשאתה אומר שמשהו הוא פשע, אבל אין עליו עונש, זה לא באמת פשע. זה התלמוד. כשאתה מגיע למפרשים המאוחרים יותר, במיוחד לשולחן ערוך, הוא כבר אומר שיש מצבים שבהם אתה יכול להרוג לא יהודי בלי שום בעיה. הוא כמובן, הוא כותב במאה ה-16, אחרי הוא ספרד, הוא צריך להצפין את מה שהוא אומר, אז הוא קורא להם עובדי אלילים. רק אתה יודע, לא נשארו כאלה באזור שלנו. לא באירופה, לא בעולם המוסלמי. אז הוא קורא להם עובדי אלילים או עובדי גילולים, אבל הוא מתכוון. המקרה הגרוע ביותר לדעתי, זאת אומרת, המקרה של הרמב"ם שקובע, קודם כל הוא קובע שמותר לקיים יחסי מין עם ילדה בת 3 שנים ויום, שזה גיל הסכמה בעייתי, וב' הוא קובע שאם יהודי בועל ילדה לא יהודיה בת 3 שנים ויום, אז צריך להוציא אותה להורג, אותה, לא אותו, משום שהיא החטיאה אותו, גרמה לו לחטוא. ועל כן ההלכה יודעת שבקטעים האנטי-אנושיים של אלה שמתנגדים ללא יהודים היא בבעיה, כי אם היא תנסה ליישם אותם, ויש שם חוקים מאוד לא סימפטיים, הילדה בת 3 שדיברנו עליה, אם היא תנסה ליישם אותם, אז יבוא פוגרום.
Can you imagine what you've just read? When a bunch of men, the minyan, that's 10 rabbis, when a bunch of faceless men could make an edict like that, take a little 3-year-old girl out, kill her, sacrifice her, because she tempted one of their own kind to sin? Well, you've just read it. And now if you go into Google and the web and you put what is a pogrom, or where were the pogroms, or what pogroms happened, you're going to find that a pogrom was when the government of the country proscribed all of the Jews. When they were proscribed, that meant that nobody in the Jewish community was protected by the law of their judicial system, the law of their country. That also meant that anybody could go in and rape your wife, rape your kids, kill your wife, kill you, burn your house down, take all your possessions, and that's what happened to literally tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of Jews during the 8th to the 14th century. And there's a lot on the internet that you can find out about that. And no wonder, because I tell you what, no society would accept that these bunch of faceless men calling themselves rabbis, calling themselves men of God, could take a little 3 3-year-old girl out, kill her. So now you can see what happened and would happen again if ever the Jews became the mighty Israel, because then they could execute their laws without any problem from society and with impunity. Now there's just one more little thing that you need to know, and you can Google this and do your own research and go into the web. Rambam, or Maimonides, this is the 11th century. He's the fellow that wrote the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, in the Torah. And you will find more. Most of what you think was written by Moses, roughly 1445 to 1480 BC, no, it wasn't. It was compiled and it was written by the same Talmud Jews that Yahweh had exiled, that Yahweh had rejected, and would have nothing more to do with them, as you can see by the text that I'm putting up in front of you. So you see, that fella, Rambam, Maimonides, he's the fella that also issued a decree that it was okay to rape a 3-year-old non-Jewish girl. Then they could take her out and sacrifice her. If you like, they could take her out and kill her. Why? Punishment, because she tempted a Jewish man to sin. So when you consider that if you lived 3,000 years ago, you couldn't go down to the local shop and buy a Bible, you couldn't go and buy the latest edition of the Tanakh. All you could do is listen to, go by and follow the administration, the king, the leaders of your people. And if they were not listening to the words from the prophets about what they should and shouldn't do, like you're going to see here, the king burnt the scroll because he was disgusted in it. Another king was going to kill Jeremiah, and he was saved by the hand of Yahweh God. What chance did the people have? And what kind of Judaism can you talk about that was predated in the BC years? There wasn't any. And there's one big error that these people made, and I'll put the text up on the screen as I'm talking to you about it. Yahweh God said he is going to call all of the nations of the world to him. All of the nations of this earth will see his glory. All of the nations of this earth will be given a chance for eternal life. Now that cuts right across what they say, right across what the Christians say, but I'll put the text up for you. You make up your own mind. If you want to believe what Yahweh, the Creator God, says, okay, I'm going to give you his words to understand. Now, just to close off this report, I'm going to put up some words out of the text, words by Yahweh, the Creator God, to give you an understanding of how he has embodied into the Bible. One clause might talk about the redemption of Israel. A couple of more verses down the line, it'll talk about how they're going to be annihilated and destroyed, making it difficult for you to understand what we're talking about. It also, I might add, I've looked at a lot of the King James Bible, the early Bibles, and the latest editions of the Bible. When you read the text in those books, I find it absolutely very difficult, very hard for you to understand the truth, the true meaning. The words that I've given to you come out of the Stone's Tanakh. That's a Hebrew to English Bible. And I would urge you to read the words that I've given to you and check them back to your own Bible. And you'll see how difficult it is, and has been so difficult for mankind to understand his words.